Alrighty then, it's time for the return of the working man's diamond. Hooray! The first one is a Kh'aZix game, and it's quite a doozy. First thing to point out is neither team has a tank, and every team has the quasi mobility and lots of shitload of damage. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of a bloodbath. Kind of a spoiler alert, but whatever. Anyway, same runes and masteries as always. Attack damage red, attack damage quints, armor yellow, cooldown reduction blues, and 12-18-0 masteries, taking Storm Raider Surge. I believe that's what it's called. Anyways, to take a bit of a sustained route first, because I can't really tell what's going on right now, except, people are exchanging blows. We get a first blood at top lane, and then my teammates at bottom lane get double murdered, so, yeah, it's kind of already getting, pretty violent both ways. I try to look for the Akali, because I figure I'd be able to kill her early, and unfortunately, the Kale dies while I'm doing that, so I go cover the lane. Thankfully, that just kind of helps me out, since I get a bit of an experience boost just hanging around. Now, I'm not, and during the game I wasn't too worried about a jungle Kali in the beginning because I think jungle Kali isn't really all that great or good. So I'm just kind of hanging around, just hoping nobody gets too fed. It's one of those games where you just kind of have to be the one who gets fed. If I get fed, I can kill their MVPs or whoever of theirs gets the biggest, and maybe from there we can snowball the fights. Because you can't, in a situation like this, you can't really trust your teammates to position right, especially in the lower division, because that's where this account is currently in his attempt to go to diamond. So you just kind of have to be super careful and kind of super greedy. Either way, 4-2 right now. The enemy team has the better of us. So, unfortunately, it's the Riven who's getting bigger, and that's one of the champions I'm most afraid of trying to jump on as Kh'aZix, because even if she gets even if she goes 0-5, as long as she farms adequately or gets a couple of choice kills at some point, she can insta-give me or some shit like that if I make a wrong move. Everybody else, I could possibly, run away or something, but Riven can burst me down in a couple 2 seconds. Anyhow, 5-2 now. My team is kind of losing. The enemy team is going around in circles, getting a lot of traction in the map, and I'm assuming they've got a lot of control of it. So I'm gonna make sure to monetize the chicken buff right now. Kale gets attacked by the Riven and the Akali. We kill the Riven, and the Akali picks off the Kale with a lot of resources burned, and I'm not able to finish her off, and I'm not even gonna try. At this point, the Akali is starting to kind of get a lot of circumstantial kills, meaning she just kind of happens to be in the area and managed to get kill participation and whatnot. So she's going to get a little bit more bigger than she needs to. Like in this situation here, they're able to turn the tide on it mostly because Riven shows up and is going to be able to kill me. So they get more here. So the Akali gets another kill and another assist and gets to be basically bigger than she needs to be. And now she's become a threat. And I'm starting to get very frustrated with this because, again, I said we were supposed to be snowballing, and the enemy team is snowballing against us. Thankfully, in this division, farming is pretty shit. So, at the very least, I can still assume that my opponents aren't going to get too big out of control for me to be able to deal with, as long as I sort of maintain my killing spree. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten a single kill, just purely assists. So that's getting a little bit frustrating too. I want to be the one who gets big, again, because I can't really trust my teammates to do very much. However, I can say, though, that the brand is going to be pretty much a badass throughout the whole game, so just kind of keep an eye on him. We're able to capture Dragon here. I'm monopolizing blue. I'm farming rather adequately for a jungler right now, thankfully, because I'm also able to hold down a lot of lanes. And as you can see, again, I'm monopolizing, or at least making sure I get the chicken buff as much as possible. Because as a ganking jungler, I need to be able to just be able to position myself properly, because right now the enemy team, with all their high damage, if I get even caught off guard just a little bit, I'll get murdered up crazy. So Riven gets to die to the red buff, I assume, and then I get murdered by Akali. Kale gets in a fight with her 1v1, and then she dies too. So that's ridiculously bad, because now the Akali gets another 2 kills and she hasn't been stopped. So now she's going to get way too big, and essentially at this point, she's not really jungle Akali, she's just an Akali who managed to get fed. So yeah, we're in for a doozy, and me still pissed off. And of course, now I'm telling myself I need to buy pink wards. So after my next recall, you'll see me just pretty much non-stop gather pink wards, because Akali becomes my #1 threat. But I do notice one thing about that she does. She kind of burns all her abilities and goes a little too ham too quickly, even in a situation where she might die. I mean, she would have normally died. What I mean by that is that she relies way too heavily on her little dust cloud to survive. So, like, here, she jumps in, pops her dust cloud, does a lot of damage, and then I run off. If she didn't have that, or if she had used it more properly, you know, in a situation where she had a good chance to die, she would have probably wanted to use it when we actually target her, not just kind of instantaneous, right? It's kind of hard to explain it, but you'll see what I mean when in a fight at Dragon. Now that I died, I buy a pink ward because I've kind of had enough of her bullshit. So she might be big, but I've kind of determined that she's a little too penisy. Anyways, Riven here trying to cheese, I guess, the Vayne if she walked in, but of course we had vision on her and just murder her bitch ass. Dragon's about to spawn soon, so we're just kind of hovering around here trying to control it. Callista and Janna get a little too close. They kill the Vayne, but then I in return kill the Callista, and kind of poorly done there. I could have done that a lot better. Akali comes in, I jump over the wall, escape. I try to take the Grump, but then she shows up and she was trying to use it as a springboard to try to kill me, and she ends up taking it. I back off, obviously. And now I use the blue buff to sort of try to regain as much health as possible because we're going to get into a little bit of a dragon fight. Anyways, this is what I mean by Akali. Really, no real reason to use it so quickly, but then she jumps in away from it and she doesn't realize that we had a pink ward and she committed fully to the fight, so she gets pretty much absolutely wrecked, and as a result we snowball the rest of that fight and we're able to capture the dragon again. Also, LeBlanc just happened to be here and I think she was just cowering for her little life, so she died for that too. Again, this might not have been the complete best example of what I mean by the whole a little too penisy that the Akali is, but you'll see it. I'm gonna be because of how effective that pink ward was and how quickly she was duped by it. I'm gonna just non-stop buy that shit. At some point, I'm even gonna be carrying 2 at a time, just because I know if I can't kill her one time, I'll just put another one down and finish her off somewhere else. It's just, and I was also kind of upsetting that the only other guy on the team, Brand, who was pretty much supposed to buy these anyways because he's a support, is buying them. Everyone else at this point should be buying them just because we have to deal with a super fed Akali. Either way, we're looping around trying to get traction. We pick an actually really poor fight. Vayne goes a little too ham, and I'm gonna jump in there because I see a lot of really squishy characters, and I think maybe I can kill one off and then jump out or jump around and be badass. Nah, I just kind of died like a bitch. The enemy team chases after my teammates and gets himself in a little bit of corridor, so Akali pretty much dies like a chump too. Riven comes from the side, doesn't manage to do anything. She gets torched up a little bit too. I don't think she dies. And then Callista shows up a little too close, and then just the rest of it is kind of just gone. So we've pretty much traded 2 for 2 in a pretty terrible fight from both sides. So, yay. Technically, we come out ahead a little bit because they're not able to defend this tower, and we do a little bit of damage to it. A little bit. I mean, just a little bit. And then the enemy team sort of returns and forces to scamper us off. So, I catch the LeBlanc, deal a lot of damage to her, but she managed to CC me, so I can't finish her off. But it only cost me my ultimate, which isn't a big deal. Now this next portion is all completely poorly done on my hand, I fully admit that, but the enemy team should have probably also not been here. The Callista should have known I was still around because I just killed a ward at the tri-lane, so, tri-bush I mean. Kill her, I survive thanks to Kale's timely ultimate, and we back off. Riven comes in, I don't even know how she didn't do that much damage. She just kind of gets absolutely wrecked by Kale and the Vayne, even though the Vayne was exhausted and she managed to get quite a bit of a combo on him. When we noticed that Akali's top lane, we realized we didn't really have anything to worry about, so we just kind of steal their farm, scamper around, put down some wards, and then control the little turtle thing, whatever his fucking name is, Scuttle Crab. Anyways, the Morgana gets caught, and she gets absolutely destroyed by the LeBlanc and the Akali, and now we're forced on the defensive again. Also, I want to point out something. The Morgana has been yelling at us throughout the entire game, and she hasn't even bought an hourglass, so she can't really say shit because she's not building properly. In a game like this, where the enemy team is really bursty, really dangerous, and really powerful, you would assume you would want to build an hourglass really quickly if you're someone who's going to rely on an ultimate that has a delay on it, right? Anyhow, the enemy team obtained the next dragon, my teammate Vayne got murdered. We're again still on the defensive. I'm prioritizing chicken buffs just so I can scamper around and try to flank people. Fight happens, I jump in, I kill the LeBlanc dies around that time. I go against the Callista, I actually kind of mess up my combo, but I still managed to finish her off and kill off the Janna too. So hooray for us. By the way, here's what I mean by one of the better examples. For whatever reason, Akali gets a little too, well, greedy, puts on her dust cloud, and then just kind of gets absolutely murdered. It's like she had no reason to even attempt that. She, I assume, was going to try to kill me, run into her little dust cloud, and then just hide and then try to make an escape. Like, she's relying on that too much when she has already seen that we're buying the tools to fuck it over. So a lot of the kills on Akali is just her kind of forgetting the fact that we can murder her. So, hooray for us, I guess. 23 and 23 right now. Technically, I did not know this in the replay, but we have a substantial gold lead right now. Also, their gold is pretty, like, even around, but their Akali is mostly just fed and not really farmed, in comparison to me, who is both pretty farmed for a jungler and fed off my ass. They catch me here, they don't manage to kill me thanks to a timely Morgana shield, and I just sort of scamper away. It's pretty bad too, mostly since it mostly only costs them their basic abilities and nothing else. So, just kind of a small delay in forcing me back home and making me heal and also burn my ultimate. But still though. Anyways, right at this point, both teams were just doing that whole Mexican standoff thing, trying to catch at someone, claw at someone, and see if we can pick off someone and finish him off, and just try to snowball from there. Having no tank or any real true initiator, except a lucky Morgana thing or something, is hurting us a lot. Either way, I plop down a pink ward here, I jump in to kill the Janna, and during my attempted escape, you could see the Ribbon and LeBlanc basically absolutely giga-wrecked me. So, he's still, thankfully though, we kind of came ahead until the Brand sort of face checked the bush, so it's a 3 for 3. Then the enemy team chases a lot, and they forget that Kayle does a shitload of damage if you let it just stay in her little Spire sword shit, so she murders the shit out of the Riven and the Kalista, so hooray for us. And as a result of that, my teammates are able to take top tower as well. So that was, again, a situation in which both teams sort of did engage it properly, and one team threw, then the other team threw, and then the other team threw again. In fact, this game isn't just completely made up of throws. People getting a little too greedy, forgetting the fact that they can really die, like me right here. I was trying to farm and I got a little too greedy with that, so the Akali jumps in and kills me, and she dies too. So we trade both fed characters for each other, but that also forces the enemy team to be in a ridiculously terrible position, and thus the Brand is able to catch two people and basically guarantee them to die. So, even though our backline was exposed and LeBlanc was able to kill the Vayne, it still allowed us to get one more kill than them. So it was a 3 for 2 plus an inhibitor. So again, it's just both teams getting super greedy and counter-throwing each other. And again, that situation, I was getting greedy farming and I paid the price for it, but Akali overcommitted and thus she paid the price for it and kind of lured her teammates into dying too. And then of course the occasional people getting caught off guard or something. Either way, at this point the Morgana is pinging the Baron, yelling at us, get Baron, you idiots, you stupid fucks, and stuff like that. But it's not a good choice. Like, this is also a terrible decision. The Akali is tanky Akali. We're in no position to actually kill her. So, and she lured my teammates into Riven and got them murdered. So yeah, Morgana also just happened to be there, and she got murdered, and the only one who kind of came out ahead of that was me, because I managed to pick up a LeBlanc for free. Either way, here, Kalista gets in a really terrible position, and we just pretty much absolutely giga-wreck her. Then I get too greedy, and I go after the Janna, forgetting that my ultimate and my flash were down, and I get destroyed. Kayle's ultimate is not enough to save me, and the Kayle also pays the price for my hubris. So yay, I also pulled a stupid moment there. Anyways, Brand and Vayne get a little too close to Akali, and she wrecks them. Thankfully, at the very least, Janna dies, so they can't sort of try for Baron. Now, remember what I said about Hourglass? About the Morgana getting angry? Well, anyway, she chases after Ribbon, basically face checks the bush, and gets absolutely destroyed. If she had an Hourglass, maybe she could have done something there, but no. She died like a bitch, and she deserves it too. Anyways, at this point, my team is reeling now, because the enemy team has gained a ridiculously advantageous team fight over us, and Brand just got killed. We know this is going to be a Baron attempt, especially now that Kayle also gets caught and murdered. So we position ourselves here in this little bush to try to stop the Baron, and for whatever reason, the Riven just going to decide to throw her life away by face checking this bush. We just basically insta-kill her, so Then, for whatever reason, I know I'm getting close, the Akali decides, hey, I'm strong for some, and then she gets absolutely murdered. Then LeBlanc jumps in, and she basically explodes too. They just got pretty much wasted, and then Callista throws her teammate in front of my vein just to get her killed. And then we obviously chase after the Callista, who decided, you know what, I'm gonna farm before running for my life. So she dies too. That was one of the dumbest things I had ever seen in any game ever. They threw away Baron for basically nothing, and also Elder Dragon. So now my team gets to go Super Saiyan. My god. Just... They face checked the same bush one-on-one, just by themselves, basically allowing isolation, allowing us to give them a full cooldown of our abilities. They had no chance of surviving that. And then just the Callista throws Janna to die, and then dies herself anyways because she refuses to leave for a couple gold. Either way, that's an inhibitor. We've gained control of the bottom lane at this point. There's nothing they can do because we're super-powered gods at this moment. LeBlanc tries to do something, but she gets super chunked because of it and loses a third of her health for basically 1 W. And just watch this moment. The LeBlanc is gonna get a little too, dicky right now. Jumps in, basically explodes, and as a result of that, we're able to jump in. We're able to kill the Callista, jump in, finish off the Janna, take out the inhibitor. The Akali is going to try to be a badass or something, or at least just kind of a last-ditch effort, but she jumps in, gets basically destroyed instantly, and then the Ribbon jumps in too. She gets almost instant-murdered too, so Jesus Christ, this game was a massive clusterfuck. It's a personification of League of Throws, isn't it? This channel is supported by my sponsors, Crunchyroll and Loot Crate. Check out the description below for links to the websites. Signing up for any trials, including Crunchyroll's free anime trial, greatly supports my channel. Also remember to give the video a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't yet. I've also made a Patreon now, and if you wish to support me through that medium, then I welcome it.